Hi everyone, welcome back. You're watching the Money Show's year-ender special with me, Mubina Kapasi. Now, we often say that yes, you need to make more money, you need to save more money in order to generate wealth. Sometimes it's just easier said than done. And hence, we on the Money Show decided to give you some extremely simple tips on how you as well can make money. And mind you, they're very, very actionable as well as intelligible and implementable. So, here's taking a look at the top 10 ways that I assure you will help increase your wealth by the time you finish 2020. Let's take a look at tip number 1. On the Money Show, we've always stressed on the importance of taking a sip. Taking a sip, I mean, of mutual funds. We just had a word with Vineet Sambre where he told us that how his 1,000 rupee SIP started 10 years ago would now have become almost 2 lakh rupees. That's the sort of returns that this has generated. This is something that's possible even by you. This is just, of course, an example of an average SIP. But imagine if you had taken one of those amazing outperformers that we pointed out, like, for example, the SBI Focused Equity Fund. Look at the sort of returns that has generated, way, way more than this. So if you're pleased with this, then imagine if you had picked that multi-bagger and what that could do to your overall portfolio. Yes, there will be moments of duds and there will be some times when the markets have fallen. But again, if you're going to be patient and if you're going to wait for these 10 years, the returns are clearly for you to see. Tip number 2. You've picked your mutual fund, but did you know there are various categories of mutual funds? I'm not just talking about taking something as simple as a thematic fund or a long-term fund, but there are 2 options every time that you pick a mutual fund that the AMC or your distributor will throw up for you. Do you want a dividend plan or do you want a growth plan? Also, if you yourself are picking out your fund, then there's something called as direct plan that you are opting for. I think first up, I'm going to focus on the dividend plan. As you can see on your screens, dividend plan would give you that monthly income or that quarterly income that sometimes if you're retired, you do need. However, the problem is it's tax inefficient and also it's eventually cutting it down from your NAVs. On the contrary, if you pick a growth plan, then not only is it tax efficient, I assure you, you compare the returns of any 2 funds and compare the dividend and growth plans, the growth plan will always give you the better return. Not just that, if you pick a direct plan, then you surpass the middleman and you directly purchase the fund from the AMC itself, which means that you don't need to pay any intermediary charges as well. Let's listen in to Mr. P.V. Subramaniam on his take on picking your fund categories.
The direct plans which were introduced were meant for people who understood asset allocation, how much to put in large cap, when to put, when to remove, when to start removing. For example, if you have a target for 2025, maybe you should start removing from 2022. Maybe you should start removing from 2023, shift into a liquid funds. If you don't know to do all those things, you're better off going to an advisor and buying an advisor advised fund or going to a registered investment advisor, paying fees and getting all this done. If you know all this, their direct plans are great for you. Now, should you take a dividend option or a growth option? The dividend option attracts a 10% tax on every dividend that you receive. Now, that is the government's argument is anyway there is 10% tax, but isn't there a big difference? Yes, there is. Like if you are a 25-year-old investing in a fund in which you are in a growth option and you, let's say you take the money out only when you are 80. So, you are talking of 55 years of compounding and 55 years of not paying income tax. I am sure you can do a little bit of math to know what impact it has. So, the growth option is always the best option. Take the growth option and you will pay tax only when you withdraw. So, the year you withdraw, you will pay 10% tax on that, and that's okay. That's better than paying 10% tax every year on the dividend. That really impairs your compounding. So, don't do that. Always go for a growth option. It's ideally to go for a direct and a growth option provided you understand. If you don't understand, seek the help of an advisor.
Well, here's tip number 3, meantime, that will help you not only earn a bit more money, but also help you save on taxes. Something as simple as investing in a fixed deposit in the name of your senior citizen parents. Reason being, the government actually rewards those senior citizens that invest in an FD with a little bit of a higher interest rate. Pull up any bank FD details and you'll notice there are 2 columns. One for the regular FD takers and the other one for senior citizens. Not just that, they also enjoy a lower tax liability. Listen in to Karan Batra as he lists down what's the quantum of benefits available to senior citizens in this strategy.
If a person is investing in his own name, he may turn out to be in a higher tax slab, say 20% or 30%. But if his parents are in a lower tax slab or are tax exempt because their income is less than 5 lakhs, so what a person maybe can do is can transfer the funds from his account to his parents' account and then make a FD in their name. So what this will do is that is coming, the interest income, that will be taxed at lower tax rate in the hand of the parent. And this planning can be done when a person is giving the money to his parents, that is tax exempt, and the interest that comes, it comes in the hand of the parents, so we can make use of the tax slab rates. Please note that this can be done in case of parents, but cannot be done in case of spouse.
Something as simple as putting your money in a liquid fund as well can go a long way in generating that extra return. And that's tip number 4. Go for liquid. As opposed to the returns that you get in your savings account, which is only 3.5% to 4%, a liquid fund, if all things go well in the markets, has the potential to give you 7 to 9% returns. And while the tax is the same, let's assume the highest tax bracket of 30%, the net return, obviously because of the pre-tax return being higher for liquid funds, is once again higher for liquid funds at 5 to 6%. Now, I'm sure many of you must be wondering that what if I need the money urgently? Well, that's the whole point of the liquid fund. As the name suggests, you can liquidate the fund very, very soon and it can easily be available instantly in your savings account. Now, another question that may be lingering in your mind is, what's the point of every time trying to keep moving my money from a savings account to a liquid fund when I know I'm going to need the money immediately? Well, that's where your smartphone comes into play. That's right, your smartphone is not just to stalk other people on Instagram, Facebook and social media, but also to download these amazing and plethora of new technologies that the financial world as well has brought in, so that with one simple click of the button, the money that you do not need right now can be parked into a liquid fund and you can generate that little bit of extra return, which can go a long way in helping you accumulate wealth. Okay, moving on. Tip number 5, reviewing your credit score. Now, a lot of us do have some debt on our books. Most of us do have EMIs on our books, which we have to pay down on a monthly basis, the principal amount and the interest amount. However, has your credit status changed since you took your loan? You may have taken the loan 5 years ago. You're paying down your EMI at a particular interest rate. However, if in the last 5 years there have been changes in your profile, for example, you got married or you got a promotion or you moved to another job or you've already owned another house which you may have received as an inheritance, all of these features and all of these changes in your personal profile would mean that this gives you an opportunity to go back to your bank and ask them for the new credit score, which will definitely be higher, and that in turn may also lead to you being able to ask for a lower interest rate. So far, while you may be paying, let's say 11% on your home loan, now you may be eligible on paying 9% or 10%. But it's definitely lower, and home loans are obviously taken in double-digit lakh rupees. So imagine the sort of savings you will have if you do this. Tip number 6, booking your profits. Remember, Arun Jaitley did give us a shocker when he announced that long-term capital gains if you sell your shares within 1 year. However, what you should do is essentially something called as booking the profits, and that way you can also save taxes. What we're going to do is explain it with the help of an example. Let's assume that you purchase shares for 2,50,000 rupees on the 1st of April, and then on the 1st of May, you already did enjoy a neat 1.1 lakh rupee profit. So naturally, you are going to be taxed at 10%, and hence your net profit does come down to 99,000 rupees. However, if you book your profits just before it crosses that 1 lakh rupee mark, here's what happens. You book your profit as soon as the price touches 3.5 lakh rupees. That's the value of your investment. And you don't need to pay any taxes. And then what you can do is just buy the shares the next day. Here's Karan Batra elucidating the very same topic.
On the sale of shares and mutual funds, tax is levied at the rate of 10%. However, the first 1 lakh rupees of gains are tax exempt. And this 1 lakh rupees, this option is available every year. So what a person can do is that rather than showing all the gains in 1 year, if he splits his gains in multiple years, he would be able to claim the benefit of 1 lakh rupees of exemption every year. And how a person can do it? So if a person has some unrealized gains but does not have realized gains, so maybe what he can do is he can sell the shares and the mutual funds, and next day he rebuys them. So by doing this, what we've done is we've converted the unrealized gains to the realized gains. And then from these realized gains, you can claim the 1 lakh rupees exemption that is available every year. And a person would be able to save out on some taxes by planning the gains accordingly.
Tip number 7 has something to do with your mental well-being and your family's protection. A term insurance plan. Many a times we often underestimate the importance of an insurance. However, it's extremely important that you secure the future of your loved ones, and a simple plain vanilla term insurance is the best way to do so. The simplest form of life insurance product. All you need to do is pay a premium amount that's fixed for the entire duration for a specified period of time. And in case of the unfortunate demise of the policyholder, the life insurance company pays out that money to the family members. As simple as that. That's tip number 7 for you, a precious jewel in your portfolio that all of you must ensure you safeguard and renew as and when you do need to. But if you think that paying this insurance premium is getting a little too expensive, think again. Tip number 8 is a multi-year insurance plan. Again, extremely simple. What this policy essentially does is leads to a savings in your premium outgo. When you pick a multi-year insurance plan, it does lead to lesser premium. There's almost, in fact, a 20 to 40% savings in premium outgo. And not just that, in case of a no-claim bonus, you can actually get 40% NCB versus when you take a single-year policy and you get only a 35%. Plus, it's also logistical convenience because there's no need for every year compliance requirement. You just need to do it at the beginning and you are sorted. Okay, moving away from insurance, here's tip number 9. There's a product, a very unique product called the arbitrage funds out there in the market. Simply speaking, this one just gives you that tax benefit that many a times we do need. An arbitrage fund is taxed at 15% and the returns are roughly the same as an FD, which you may be wondering that then why on earth should I take an arbitrage fund? For the simple reason that there's this tax arbitrage that comes in, no pun intended, in the arbitrage funds. For short-term taxation, it's only at 15%, and even for long-term, while for FDs, you do have your regular 30% tax. Over here, it's for 1 lakh rupees, 10%, and after that, it's taxed as per your regular tax bracket, which means your average profit after tax is definitely better than a fixed deposit. So just a simple change, instead of putting it in FDs, put it in an arbitrage funds. It's a bit more tax efficient, and that's tip number 9 for you. All right, and finally, tip number 10, the most common saying out there, money saved is money earned. And here are some of the money earning habits of the richie riches of the world. If you think that you want to be frugal but you think your lifestyle cannot afford it, well, these are some of the biggest billionaires in the world, and look at their frugal habits. Warren Buffett, $88 billion net worth, the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway, the largest investment company, and he still lives in the same house he bought since 1958. That's the sort of frugal mentality he has. Not just him, there are many other names. Mark Zuckerberg, the founder and CEO of Facebook, he still drives a manual transmission Volkswagen hatchback, and we all know that the founder of Facebook has that whopping net worth of $72 billion. Moving on, the founder of IKEA, Swedish national Ingvar Kamprad, a neat net worth of more than almost $60 billion. Interestingly, this man, you often find him on an economy class ticket, and if you're traveling by bus one day in Sweden, don't be surprised, he may be sitting right next to you. Dish Network, the chairman of Dish Network, Charlie Ergin, with a net worth of $10.4 billion, does not dine at your five-star restaurant or at a fine dining place every day, but in fact packs a regular brown bag lunch every single day. So not only does he keep his wallet fit, he also keeps himself fit. Really simple habits that will help you create wealth in the long term. Well, there you have it, folks. Like I said, they're actionable as well as implementable, and all of y'all should ensure that you all adopt at least some of these habits of these billionaires, or if not them, make sure you follow tip number 1 to tip number 9, and I assure you that your income will increase by the time 2020 ends. By the way, as we approach the new year, there are various laws in India that are going to start impacting you. We thought we'll get you through a look at all of these laws. First up, BS4 cars are going to be outdated. So if any of you guys have a BS4 car, you're not going to be able to sell it in the market at a very good price. In fact, you could as good as scrap it, because firstly, they will no longer be sold by companies, point number A, and secondly, no more registration of these BS4 cars. Another law that will change is that there are going to be no charges on NEFT money transfer. As you guys know now, there's NEFT transfer 24/7 available, but there is a bit of a charge that the bank charges you. But with effect from the 1st of Jan, it's going to be absolutely free. So transfer away and use this amazing digital technology that helps you transfer money to your friends and to your peers at a very low cost, or actually at a zero cost. Also, for low-income groups, the credit-linked subsidy is now going to expire, and hence the low-income groups now will be exposed to the market vagaries. So this is something to watch out for. For mutual fund holders, and especially on the debt side, the valuation of money market and debt securities is going to change. It's going to be adopting a waterfall approach. So yes, there will be a change in your NAVs of the debt mutual funds you hold, but guys, it's also going to lead to a lower volatility in debt mutual funds. So in the end, it will benefit you, the customers, yet again. And also, we have some new GST rates that we will be watching out for. In fact, for lottery is something I want to flag off. If any of you guys indulge in that, 28% is the GST rate for lottery with effect from March 2020. Finally, there are changes in the stamp duty rates for off-market transactions. I'm talking about those investors who have their money parked in an unlisted company and now want to transfer those. Usually, you have your state stamp duty charges that you have to pay, but now there's a new stamp duty which will essentially make the rate the same across the country. This does not necessarily mean good news, because let's say if you're in Maharashtra where the stamp duty rate is lower, if the center has increased it or it has a higher rate, then you'll have to pay the higher rate. Also, there'll be, for all the businessmen out there, there'll be a new monthly GST return filing system that will come into effect in 2020. That's expected to be much more simpler. So for all the chartered accountants out there, for all the small businessmen out there, we hope this new monthly GST system does help. Now this one, linking your PAN with Aadhaar is extremely important, otherwise your PAN card will become inoperative. The date has been extended to 31st of March 2020. Ensure you link your Aadhaar card and PAN card. It's an extremely simple process. All you need to do is log on to www.incometaxindiaefiling.gov.in, log in and simply enter or punch in your Aadhaar card details and you will be done. Okay, well, on that note, we will take a very short break right here on ET Now, but don't go anywhere. We have lots lined up.